You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get to our next discussion now. Now, the People's Democratic Party's flag bearer choice of running mate for the 2023 presidential is causing some ripples within the party, and stakeholders are looking to salvage the situation before it gets out of control. Now, Atiku Abubakar has been accused of failing to honor the democratic process in the selection of his running mate. And there are concerns that the former vice president is not doing enough to reach out to those aggrieved by his decision and ensure a reconciliation, which some believe could impact his ambition. Now, Atiku Abubakar had chosen the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, as his running mate after winning the ticket at the party's presidential primaries. And this is part of what we'll be talking about, the controversies around it and what the way forward will be. So joining us from our Abuja studio to discuss this further is the former Commissioner for Information, Edo State, and political analyst, Kassim Afegbua. Mr. Afegbua, it's good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Great.
All right, let me start by asking you. You just left the PDP. What is going on in that party with Atiku Abubakar now under some kind of storm with the governor of Rivers and also the governor of Benue?
Well, thank you, Sam Omasaye. You captured it very correctly that I just resigned barely a week ago. And the point is, you are expected to observe or feel this kind of crisis, particularly when you are trying to supplant justice with injustice. I said it categorically from day one that the moment the PDP jettisoned its zoning formula as captured in Article 7, Subsection 3(1) of its own constitution with respect to zoning of or rotation of presidency, then you are likely going to have this kind of scenario that is staring us in the face. And they didn't just do that. When they threw the contest open, they were working from answer to question. And so after the primaries and all the gerrymandering, all the manipulations and what have you, what you have is also a replay of the main presidential contest in the choice of the running mate. You set up a committee as a party, as enshrined in your guidelines. Then you came up with voting 14 against 3 in the choice of who should represent the party as VP. You jettisoned that, you woke up in the morning, you came up with another candidate out of a minority vote. So you are likely going to have this kind of scenarios. So I think Wike has every right to be angry. I will encourage him to be angrier so that next time PDP will have learned a lesson that it is always good for you to adhere strictly to the normative order as contained in your own status book. In this case, your constitution, and even electoral guidelines that are set up by your own executives. When you are now trying to apply all these provisions and you are now trying to manipulate the process, the tendency is for you to have the kind of scenario we have on our hands. So they will continue to be in crisis.
Well, Mr. Afegbua, I'm just a bit concerned. Does that not show the fact that Atiku Abubakar can take some tough decisions as a leader and the president if he eventually becomes the president? Because that's the argument. He said it was a difficult decision for him, but then one of the qualities of a leader is the fact that you should be able to make and take such tough decisions.
I think the reverse is the case. It's not about taking tough decisions. It's about not staying through to decisions. Because whether you like it or not, a party is not owned by one individual. A party is called a party because there are statutory organs, there are persons, there are factors that come together to take decisions for the party, because the individual who is a candidate cannot approximate all the whims and caprices of the party. That's one. Two, in a party formation or in party administration and party decision-making process, there has to be constructive engagement. There has to be collective bargaining in ensuring that the right decisions are taken, having factored in all the centripetal and the centrifugal forces, and create an aggregate balance such that when you take decision, it becomes a collective decision that is binding on all. But we're always very, we're fond of always taking the wrong decision. I will say they will go and reconcile. We will reconcile. You know what you are doing was not right ab initio. Rather than checkmate that at the onset, you will not do that. You will take what appeals to your sensibilities and you now say you want to reconcile. I'm waiting to see how much of the reconciliation they will do, but it just shows that the candidate himself is going to be overbearing if he has opportunity to be president of the country. If a party set up a panel and you cannot adhere to the decision of that panel, then it leaves so much to be desired.
Maybe I should also try to see how I can quote Mr. Atiku's reasons as well. He had explained that in arriving at his decision, his running mate would have the potential to succeed him at a moment's notice. He explained that that person has to be a president in waiting. He says the person must have the qualities to be president. So does the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, does he have the qualities, the temperament to be that kind of person, to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Well, I think those are, those are statements that are coming like medicine after death. I'm not going to be bogged down by all those kind of rhetorics. The point is, Governor Wike contested presidential primary with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He came second. He put up a strong showing until someone stepped down or withdrew from the race for an Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Wike was going to win that convention, whether you like it or not. So such a man who was able to rally around 237 delegate votes, and you are saying that he's not competent or he doesn't have the temperament, he doesn't. Who tells you that Nigeria does not even need a man that is temperamental now to be able to solve the problems we are facing in this country? All this manner of body language and unspoken word or monologue, is that what we need? We need a man who has the gravitas, who has the guts, the boldness, the courage, and the uncommon attitude to be able to interrogate scenarios, confront our challenges and be able to come up with solutions. You see, this over every time people keep saying that he doesn't have the temperament. The man is governing Rivers State. They call him Mr. Projects. He has transformed Rivers State. You see, keep talking. Only 3 days ago, I saw him delivering law school, the brand new law school he built. They say it's the best in the country. That's a state government. And you are not hearing him borrowing money from banks and all of that. Yet you say the man doesn't have the temperament and all that. What is the meaning of temperament in all of this? Give him opportunity and see whether he will have that temperament or not. And who has the temperament? Is it a man who spearheaded a Southern presidency in the Asaba Declaration? All the governors, 17 governors of the Southern states came to Asaba, take a declaration in your backyard. After the decision was taken and all of that, they had another one in Abia Umuahia, they had another one in Enugu, only for you to go through the back door and be working for a northern aspirant, and the final analysis became a northern candidate, for the party that's supposed to respect zoning. Is that the kind of person you should be taken serious? No. I weigh all of these options before I took my exit from that party, because when you are within the party and you are criticizing them, they will feel uncomfortable because they don't want people to look them in the face and interrogate the processes or the decision making. So for me,
all right, Kassim,
I will not overlabor the issue. The point is very clear. Wike has all the criteria set out in the Constitution of Nigeria to be president of Nigeria. Whether he appeals to your sentiments or otherwise is another thing. What one man's means, another man's poison. In the process of going,
all right, Kassim, let me put in this. Yeah, let me put in this briefly. Now, the candidature of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate, the protest or the seeming protest we're seeing here, is it about the person or is about the process? Basically, what is wrong with Okowa as the running mate of Atiku Abubakar, basically?
Well, thank you very much. You see, there is both the person and both the process. Democracy is a cultivated indulgence, cultivated in the sense that it talks about participation, it talks about respect for rules and regulations, it talks about internal democracy, such that when decisions are taken, they fall in line with the dictates of your provisions in the Constitution or your internal rules and regulations. I have told you, if Atiku Abubakar knew he was going to choose his own running mate, he should not have initially set up or encouraged the party to set up a panel comprising 17 persons drawn from different organs of the party, the NEC, NWC, Board of Trustees, and what have you. And so having set up a panel, he has relinquished that right to that panel to take a decision on his behalf, knowing full well that that panel will be able to explore all the variables, all the factors, all the forces, and be able to balance them in a way that will assuage the feelings of everyone if a decision is finally taken. Now, the panel came up with a decision that, okay, Mr. A from Rivers State is the preferred choice. You woke up in the following morning, the expectation was to unveil him, and you went and unveiled someone else. What does that tell you about the character and indices of the man who is a candidate, or even the chairman of the party? I've said it repeatedly that Dr. Yochayu and all of these persons are not just desperate for power. The way and manner they are going about it, they were defectors who left the party to join APC, returned to the party, helped APC to defeat PDP, and came back to the party, and they want to eat their cake and have it. I think what you cannot give what you don't have. The point is, presently PDP is just in disarray. There's no cohesion. There are no internal conversations. Persons are assuming positions of responsibility bigger than the larger interests of the party. And so you are likely going to see the kind of things you are seeing now. It is not about Okowa as an individual. Okowa is a medical doctor. He's got qualification as provided in the Constitution to be president of Nigeria, not even vice president. But I'm telling you that, for God's sake, people should be able to live through, their word when they say it. A decision was taken in a Sabbath declaration by 17 southern governors, and Okowa hosted it, the first one, and several others that were heard. And in the final analysis, rather than pursue that aspiration, he never got involved. Delegates from Delta State voted for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. So he abandoned the southern struggle and opted for someone who, in the final analysis, will give him the opportunity to be his running mate. So it's not strange to me, but I'm just curious that such a person, cannot be trusted by every bit of imagination.
Are you saying that Okowa is a traitor of the South, and by implication, the PDP presidential ticket is anti-South?
Well, the point is this. I've said it. I've written an article on this before. You see, when people gather to take decisions, particularly with respect to Nigerians' political algorithms, there is a need for leaders in position of responsibility to live true to their words. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State, with due respect, hosted the meeting of 17 governors, and they made a declaration, which is popularly known as a Sabbath declaration. They went to Abia, they repeated that. They went to Enugu, they repeated that. One would have expected that a man of his stature, being a governor of his state, should naturally follow through that struggle and pursue it to a logical conclusion. If in the final analysis we are unable to get it on account of the factors at play, we will understand. But not people or not someone going through a back door and be working. We all knew, when I was in PDP, we all knew that Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa was working for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. We all knew. We saw the handwriting very clearly. And the delegates of Delta State, rather than supporting an Udom or a Pius Anyim or even a Wiki. Oh, they went and voted for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. So you see, when you see actions of persons, you don't even need to brand them that name. The name is very clear. People have called him betrayer, they have called him a traitor, they have called him on Southern Middle Belt Forum have issued statement, and the Clark have issued statement, and all of that. It is because of the circumstances surrounding the role he played in the entire process of pursuing a Southern agenda. And that is why I'm giving credit to the 12 or is it 14 Northern governors of APC who felt the need for them to zone or to support Southern candidacy in APC because they felt it is important for us to balance all the algorithms. But in PDP, they were rather working from answer to question and raising other curious questions, and that is now today haunting them, and that's quite unfortunate.
All right. Mr. Kazim, can I ask you, isn't this a problem or making of the Southern governors really? Because, I mean, there were several meetings. I remember the Asaba Declaration, and then they met again here in Lagos. The fact that the Southern governors were unable to agree on just one person from the Southern region to be at the primaries. The fact that, I mean, even at the primaries as well, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but if you can, at the primaries as well, we saw the likes of the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, stepping down for Atiku. We saw another presidential aspirant then, Mohammed Hayatuddin, stepping down for Atiku, but nobody stepped down for another person from the southern part of the country. Isn't that the problem of the southern governors? All right, so we understand we've lost audio connections with Mr. Kazim. Hopefully we have him back on track.
Yeah, but while we wait for him to come back, Mohammed Hayatuddin actually didn't step down for Atiku. The point there is in fact he was the one who said that the process was
monetized.
Monetized.
Oh, okay.
You know, so talking about, so he expressed his own dissatisfaction with the process,
yes.
And then eventually Peter Obi followed. You know, after him. That was just days to the primary elections at that time. Well, if you hear what Kazim is saying, it is part of what is resonating among a lot of party faithfuls of the PDP within the South. In fact, in Rivers State, even in Bayelsa State, party members are saying that we had an agenda. Like Kazim said, we had an agenda. So, at what point did that change? When we all met, and Governor Okowa was the first host of that agenda that led to the declaration, the Asaba Declaration that he mentioned. You know, so that's why some persons used the word betrayal. You know, you recall that Governor Wike also alluded to that after the primaries, saying that Southern governors betrayed him.
Exactly.
You know,
but I think, as I was trying to just put that question to Kazim, they should have agreed. I mean, if you agree that it is time for the Southern region to produce the presidency, why don't you come to a consensus? Why don't you come to an agreement? I mean, imagine the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel. Imagine that if he had stepped down, probably for Wike, I'm sure the story would have been different today. If Okowa, of course, had also garnered those delegates for even Governor Wike, the story would have been different. So I think that the southern part of this country have always suffered one problem. They have never been united.
well, I think, in my opinion, I think the idea of adopting a candidate at that time would have been premature. Because if you're talking about, there's still a very long time, we're talking of sometime last year. So the idea of, okay, let us come together and even agree that the presidency should be should be zoned to the south. That is one discussion first, for everybody to come together. And recall too that the governors that converged, the 17 governors that converged in Asaba, came across party lines. So let us even agree first. It was the first step of agreement. Now, the second point of agreement will be that, okay, APC governors will go to their own house, or go to their own tent. PDP will go to their own tent and then decide how it is going to play out. Because the point there is, at the end of the day, you don't expect all PDP governors to come and say, because we want presidency to come to the South, so let us support an APC. APC will not come out and say, okay, because we have agreed that PDP presidency should come to the South, so let us support PDP. You know, so the dynamics of the issue of let the presidency come to the South, the first step was let us even agree, which they did. So the next step or the hurdle would have been, okay, APC, what is APC doing? What is PDP doing? So at that time, I think in my opinion, for them to decide who the candidate is going to be was going to be very politically premature at that time.
How about the primaries? I mean, the state governor stepped down for Asiwaju at the primaries.
The thing, though, is that they never really were serious about it. Because if they were serious about it, as a party, as a PDP, they will have come with some kind of rubric or template for reaching that decision. Right. So they didn't get that.
I understand Kassim Afegbua is back now. You had a question for him earlier.
So Mr. Kazim, I was asking, this problem of making, isn't it the making of the southern governors really from the PDP? I think if they had come together to agree on producing the president in 2023, would it have been possible for them to also agree on one person to, be the flag bearer, or probably at the primaries step down as well for that one person who should have been the plan all along? And maybe just to add as well, I also like to ask this about the party, even though I know you have resigned from the party. The PDP once bragged or carried itself as the largest party in Africa. I wonder if that's still the case, or is the PDP falling apart?
Well, thank you very much. Talking about the southern governors and all of that, I think if they had worked together as a team, there would have been a better output and outcome than what we witnessed at the convention. But even at that, we expected some level of cross-pollination of ideas, some level of cooperation amongst the southern aspirants, so that whatever be the outcome will reflect, the true spirit of oneness that should exist naturally. Of course, you saw those who were stepping down. Governor Tambuwal stepped down for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I had to step down without calling anybody's name. Who would have expected Governor Udom to step down? Would have expected Governor Okowa to, give his delegates to work with either Udom or Wike if Udom is not stepping down. Governor Diri, the same thing and all of that. But everybody was pursuing his own greed, selfishness, egocentrism, and what have you. So rather than work as a team, they were disparate and so divided in their own home, and this became the outcome. That's why I keep saying that they were working from answer to questions, and the questions are now staring them in the face because there is no convergence of opinion with respect to the choice of Okowa as VP. We're talking about PDP as the largest opposition party and all of that. I think the party presently, under the leadership of Yochayu, is in disarray. Just a few days ago, you had the NWC news item that Okowa has been removed, Yochayu had been removed and all of that. Of course, it turned out to be a fake news, but I can tell you categorically that such movements are in place because they felt that the chairman board of trustees from the north, the chairman of the party is from the north, the candidate of the party is from the north. So you can't have three dominant positions in the party in the north when you have 8 governors of the party from the south and 5 governors in the north. So PDP is better served in the south-south region where that has 5 solid governors of PDP, whereas we have 5 governors in the entire northern states for PDP. So if you put the equation together, you discover that presently the leadership of the party must come to the south if they want to balance. But like I told you earlier, I love them making mistakes so that what I told them about balancing the political equation in the country will come to fruition. You cannot have a presidential candidate from the North in 2019 without no Southerner contesting. Then in 2023 again, another candidate from the North, you jettison the South, in a party where you capture it eloquently in your constitution, Article 7, subsection 3C, that parties shall rotate positions. Then when you have this kind of scenario of people manipulating or jettisoning provisions of the constitution of the party, there's the likelihood and the tendency to have this kind of horse trading, gerrymandering, manipulation that will continue to sustain crisis. And the more crisis PDP comes up with, the better for me, because I wouldn't want Atiku Abubakar to smell Aso Villa in 2023.
All right. Part of the argument, Kazim, part of the argument of some members of the PDP to zone the presidency to the north was the argument that the last president of the PDP was from the south, in former President Goodluck Jonathan. So if you see it from that perspective, it would only be natural that the next president should come from the north, because the incumbent president, who is from the north, is not of PDP stock, is of APC stock, and the decision of the party will not be a respecter of what another political party decides. Now, what do you make of that argument?
I think the point is that's a product of lazy scholarship. People who cannot dissect issues, who cannot understand the political algorithms in the country, and they come up with this kind of nebulous claims, very nebulous. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, is not the president of APC. He's called President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic. So if that is the case, why will you be talking about the last president of PDP was a Southerner and the next one should be, the next candidate should be from the North? Let me give you this scenario. I have interrogated those people who are coming up with these curious arithmetics, and they have not been able to justify it. In 2019, in realization that Jonathan was the last occupant of that office of the PDP stock, all aspirants from the South withdrew from the race. They allowed the northern aspirants to take over the contest. Atiku Abubakar emerged in Port Harcourt Convention, and we all supported him in 2019. Of course, we couldn't win. As soon as the elections were over, he bolted away to Dubai. The same way he has bolted away now when the Ekiti election was just by the corner. It's all about himself, me, I, and myself. And so that sense of collegiate responsibility is never there. Then, in APC has a northern candidate who is president of the country. They were trying to manipulate the process to say, oh, an Ahmed Lawan should come on stream until those governors, and I keep referring to them as heroes of this our present situation, because those governors came together and said, no, in order to deepen democracy and eliminate the mistrust that is becoming so obvious, there's a need for them to zoom the presidency in APC to the south. I expected PDP to do that, and every other serious political party. But of course, because Iyochayu came with a mindset, a premeditated mindset, to come and return Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as a candidate, he was not ready to listen to that. They set up a committee on zoning. At the end of the day, they started selling forms. When they sold forms midway, they said, oh, it was too late to talk about zoning. People are already buying forms. They were just walking from answer to question and question to answer and all of that. So whether anybody likes it or not, when you supplant justice with injustice, you are going to be having the kind of crisis that PDP is having. And this crisis will endure. I can tell you that. I'm an insider, and I know what's going on. That crisis will continue to endure in PDP and will frustrate the efforts of their candidate in the 2023 elections. And that will be to my own joy.
Atiku Abubakar tweeted yesterday saying that he was going to have peace with everybody in the party. I don't have these right words, that everything in the party was going to be all well and good and so on. Whereas the Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State says he's going to spiritual hibernation, that he's not sure where he's going to be. He's waiting for God to give him direction, whether to follow Atiku Abubakar or not. Wike is in silence. What is going on? The party is now standing on its own head. Why is Atiku so quiet when the whole place is falling over his head?
I'm sure you saw a picture from Dino Melaye's wall where he was showing Alhaji Atiku Abubakar wearing a pair of shorts, holidaying in Europe.
In Europe, yeah.
When Ekiti governorship was barely a week before the election, barely a week ago too. When the leadership of the party was supposed to set up a campaign council, mobilized to Ekiti to campaign, Iyochayu went on holiday. The candidate went on holiday. And so that has always been my point of disagreement with them, that rather than take up responsibility to confront the electoral challenges or electoral hurdles with respect to contests, they will naturally bolt away when you need them most. They will not stay true to fight the battle of electoral contest. That was why you saw PDP for the first time coming a distant third in the Ekiti election. And I was reading their publicists talking about, vote buying, this one, that one. Meanwhile, they refused to campaign. They didn't campaign. They didn't show any national support to the candidate in Ekiti. So when the candidate issued statement that no, the process was very good and okay, I was happy. But the point is, when you have injustices or decisions are taken abusing processes without due process, you are likely going to have what is playing out. Otom was just capturing it in very eloquent terms, what is going on within the party. It's not just about Otom. There are quite a number of other governors. Don't forget that Wike is in Turkey holidaying with even the governor of Abia State, because it is very painful, Bros. Sam Omashaye, that a panel will be set up by a party comprising 17 persons. Otom was part of that panel, and some other leaders were part of that panel. Otom was there on account of being a member of the PDP Governors Forum. You took a decision, 14 in support of Wike, 3 in support of Okowa. Then we're looking forward to the following day, having conveyed the decision of that panel to the candidate. What you have, it was a 360-degree about turn, and you handed over the ticket to the minority votes. Who will not be angry? Even both the participants in that process and even the man who ought to benefit from that majority votes. So it's a theory of contradiction. All of these factors will cancel themselves out, and PDP will be worse for it.
Right. Kassim Afegbua, former Commissioner of Information at Edo State, thank you so much for talking to us this morning on TVC Breakfast.
It's a pleasure. Thank you always.
Great.